Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling one of the most powerful and honestly most misunderstood forces shaping our world, data. We're going to get right to the heart of what it is, how we classify it, and why it's become so unbelievably valuable.
So let's just kick things off with a big question. If you had to name the single most valuable asset here in the 21st century, what would you say it is?
Now, your mind probably jumps to the usual suspects, right? Gold, maybe the oil that fuels, well, everything. But the real answer is something way more personal. It's something you create every single day, most of the time without even thinking about it.
Yep, you got it. It's data. At its most basic level, data is just a collection of raw facts. Think of them like individual Lego blocks. On their own, they might not seem like much, but they hold this incredible potential to build something amazing.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. We'll start with how data is basically everywhere, then get into its different types, how we organize it, where it comes from, and then we'll get to the really good stuff, data's ultimate power.
All right, let's jump right in with our first topic. The world is made of data.
You know, data isn't some abstract thing happening in a server farm somewhere. It's being created constantly by every single one of us. Every time you buy a coffee, like a photo, or even just scroll through a website, you're generating a constant stream of these raw data points.
But how do those raw facts actually become useful? Well, it's a three-step journey. First, you have the raw data. Then, when you organize it, like, say, putting sales numbers into a nice monthly chart, it becomes information. And then, when you analyze that information and spot a trend, that's when you gain knowledge. That's the actionable insight.
Okay, now let's get into the first major way we classify all this stuff. Every single piece of data you can think of falls into one of two fundamental families.
And here they are, qualitative versus quantitative. It sounds kind of technical, but it's really simple. Qualitative data describes qualities or characteristics. It's the what kind. Quantitative data is all about the numbers, the how much or how many. It's literally the difference between describing a car's color as red versus saying its top speed is 150 miles per hour.
And we can get even more specific. Inside that qualitative family, you have nominal data. These are just labels, categories with no real order to them, like a list of cities. Then you've got ordinal data, where the categories have a meaningful sequence, like a customer satisfaction survey that goes from low to medium to high.
And it's the same story on the quantitative side. You have discrete data, which is made up of whole numbers you can count, like the number of students in a class, right? You can't have half a student. And then there's continuous data, which can be any value within a range, something you measure, like temperature or a person's height.
Okay, so we know the nature of our data, but with so much of it flying around, how in the world do we organize this potential chaos so we can actually analyze it?
Well, we can also split data by how it's organized. On one side, you have structured data. This is the neat, tidy stuff that fits perfectly into the rows and columns of a spreadsheet. But on the other side, you have unstructured data. This is the messy, free-form stuff like an email, a video, or a social media post. It is packed with valuable insights, but it's way harder to analyze. Which, by the way, is exactly why companies are pouring billions into AI, to unlock the secrets hidden in all that mess.
And of course, there's always a middle ground. That's semi-structured data. It has some organizational bits like tags, but it doesn't have to fit into that super rigid format of a database. You see this a lot on the web with files like JSON or XML.
Okay, so we've got its type and its structure. But where we get our data from is just as important, because that tells us a lot about its context and how much we can trust it.
And here, the distinction is really straightforward. Primary data is the stuff you collect yourself for your specific project, like if you run your own customer survey. It's awesome because it's tailored to your needs, but it can be expensive to get. Then there's secondary data. That's data that already exists, collected by someone else, like a public government report. It's often free and easy to find, but you're betting that it's a good fit for what you need.
So we have all this data, categorized, structured, and sourced. But what's the point? Why does understanding all this stuff actually matter?
Because this isn't just a topic for data scientists or researchers anymore. Getting a handle on the fundamentals of data is becoming a critical skill for, well, pretty much everyone.
No, really. For businesses, for organizations, for governments, and even for you as an individual, the ability to understand and use data is a genuine superpower. It's a massive advantage.
So what is this superpower? It's the ability to stop just guessing. Data lets us make decisions based on actual evidence. It fuels real innovation. It lets us measure what's working and what's not. And it can even help us predict what might happen next.
Ultimately, this quote just nails it. It perfectly captures the entire journey we've just covered, that amazing transformation of simple, raw facts into powerful, game-changing insights that really do drive progress.
And that leaves us with one last thought. Every single digital action you take, every click, every view, it weaves together a story about who you are. So the really critical question to ask yourself is, who's reading that story, and what are they learning from it?